Hey everybody, God bless you. Welcome. Thank you for joining me in another video. In this one, we're going to be discussing boundaries. But before we jump into this topic, subscribe to this channel, also share, like, drop a comment, also hit that bell notification so you'll know whenever I upload a new video. As always, I appreciate everyone's support. Thank you, as always. Now let's get into this topic of boundaries, how to set healthy boundaries, what to expect. When people violate our boundaries, what do we do? So these are the things that I'm going to be talking about in this video. And if you are the type of person who has trouble with boundaries and you have a hard time drawing that line, this might be the video for you, so stick around, okay? So when it comes to boundaries, there's a few things we need to know. Well, I consider boundaries, for me, they're basically like healthy rules to help us navigate through our relationships, whether it be personal or even professional. And with these rules, what they do, they help to bring order in our lives. They help to conserve and preserve our energy. It also helps to, when we set boundaries, to protect us, right? So it's good to have boundaries and know when and how to set them up. So when it comes to setting up healthy boundaries in our lives, there's a few things that we need to keep in mind. First, you need to understand what your values are. Knowing what your values are. Values will be very helpful to you when it comes to setting boundaries. Also know what your priorities are. What's important to you? What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need from the person or from the situation? So when you know these things, when you know what your values are, what's important to you, what the things that you value, when you know what your priorities are, setting boundaries becomes a lot easier. But when that stuff is elusive, when you don't quite know what you want, when you don't know what your priorities are, it's going to be tough to set boundaries, and you're going to find yourself in a situation where people are running all over you, when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you feel like people are draining the life out of you is because you didn't set healthy boundaries. So it's important for you to know what you need out of life. And that takes me to this my second point, which is be clear about what you expect from others and expect from yourself. So whatever situation you get into, whether it be, let's say, a romantic relationship or even in a workplace, a professional, be clear about what you need and what the expectations are and what people should be expecting from you. You know, it's kind of tough to set boundaries when you're not willing to do what you expect from others. So also, think about it this way, whatever you expect from others, it has to be something that you're willing to do yourself. So be very, very clear about your expectations, whether it be from others or yourself, and it will be easier for you when you have that clarity to set boundaries. Also, the next thing, which is very important, is to set them early. Don't wait until it's too late. Sometimes when we wait until it's too late, when we find ourselves in a situation where people are taking advantage of our time, our resources, when people are draining us, when we find ourselves in a situation where people are just crossing that line and violating us in some way, or people are just not being respectful of things like time, and we let them do it over and over again. And we didn't establish certain things early on in that relationship, early on when we started dating them, early on when we started that job, then it becomes difficult. So I'm telling you that when it comes to boundaries and you're clear about what you want, you know what your priorities are, you know what you need out of the situation or from the person, and you know what you expect, do it early. Do not tarry, do not wait, because if you wait, then it's going to be hard to draw that line. And, then people be like, hey, why is it that he or she or this person switched up on me? And, we were doing it this way all along. So people will respect you more when you set those boundaries early and when you establish those rules, and when people understand what to expect from you and what you're going to, what you need to get from them early on. I always tell people, especially, some of the younger people that I mentor, when they start a job, I tell them, listen, make sure you understand when you start your job, what your job is, what your managers need from you, your colleagues, know your job and what they need from you as an employee. Also understand the environment, but also that is the opportune time when you start that job. I tell these younger people to set your own boundaries. After a certain time, I'm not going to answer emails. I'm not going to answer emails after 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., whatever the cutoff time is. Or, I am going to take a break, but even with that, you kind of like have to navigate it a little, be a little careful with that, because it's also important for you to understand your environment. So, but when you start a job, I tell these young people it's very important that you set those expectations early on and people know what to expect from you, because later on down the road, as I said earlier, it's going to be harder to draw that line. And once you start answering emails at 10 p.m., 11, 12, and then people are going to be expecting you to be working when you probably should be asleep. So set them early. You will be so grateful when you set those boundaries early. And that's why it's important to be clear and know what your priorities are. Okay, got it? All right. And the next thing is when it comes to setting boundaries is to listen to your gut. So if you find yourself in a situation where, or you let's say in a personal relationship, it could be platonic or romantic, or you're dating someone or you're seeing someone, whatever the situation is, and you're just picking up things about this person, picking up things, about their character, you're getting to know a person or even a group, and you feel like you might need to start drawing some boundaries, drawing some lines someplace. I think, you should do it and listen to your gut and just do it and don't wait. That intuition is there for a reason. That intuition is there to protect you. That intuition is there. So if you feel like, hey, I need to set a boundary with this person is not getting it, go ahead and do it. And sometimes we just have to listen to our gut and do it soon, right? All right, so those are the components and the things that you need to help you set healthy boundaries. I'm sure there's more, but those are the things that I was able to identify that I'm sharing with you. So let's just move into why people violate boundaries, our boundaries, right? So if you don't set your boundaries and you don't draw a clear line, there's always going to be people that's going to violate, our boundaries, that's going to push our buttons, that's going to cross that line, that's not going to care what we told them. So people do this for a few reasons, actually. Number one, they don't respect us. There's a lack of respect there. That could be one reason why. Or they're trying to control or manipulate you. You'll say, let's say, don't call me after a certain time, and they call you, or you expect them to be on time and they're never on time, or, so whatever it is, if they keep violating and they keep crossing that line, it could be that they're trying to manipulate you, or you saying that you can't do something that they want you to do, and you drew a hard line, or maybe you had dedicated some time to a project or to something, or you volunteered for something and you say you can't be there that date, and they keep telling you, oh, you're going to be there, right? You're going to be, and they keep crossing that line. Listen, they might be trying to manipulate or to control you. So that's, some of the reasons why, people violate your boundaries. They don't respect you, or they may be trying to manipulate you in some way. Also, it may not necessarily be as nefarious. It may be just because, some people are just ignorant, a lack of awareness of others. It could be, what's important to you and the things that you value, other people may not value. Or so everyone is different. We don't all have the same culture or religion or beliefs, or we don't think the same. We all wasn't raised the same in the same household. So we have different ways of moving through the world and relationships. And what may be offensive to me may not be offensive to another person. So that's why it's important that whatever it is that you deem a value, or that you deem is a priority, that you make it clear to people. Because other than that, it could be innocent or just in ignorance. They'll just violate and push those buttons and cross that line, and then next thing you know, you're angry, you're ready to fight. Next thing you know, you're ready to blow up and explode. Next thing you know, you're ready to cut off a relationship, or, stop something that could be a blessing in your life because you didn't set that boundary, you didn't make it clear. So just understand that people will violate your boundaries, and they will do it. And some will gladly do it because some people don't care. They'll do it because they want to manipulate you. They'll do it because they don't respect you. Or they'll do it because they're just plain old ignorant, right? So in that case, the next thing that we need to talk about is, what to do when people violate our boundaries. So I say be very assertive and make it clear again. So if you feel like they didn't hear you the first time, you feel like what you established is not being regarded or respected or seen, make it clear to the person again. Verbalize it. Tell them. Let people know what you need. Let people know that what they're doing is not okay. Let them know that this is the line. I mean, you don't have to be rude or nasty or mean about it, but you could be firm and assertive and get your point across without, I guess, being offensive. But sometimes when it comes to setting boundaries and being firm and drawing that line, people are just going to get angry. People are going to get angry when you tell them no. People are going to get angry when you assert yourself and when you do something that they may not want you to do, or when you're going against their wishes, and when they can't control you. Sometimes people they'll get angry or they'll get offended. How dare you not do what I want you to do? Like that arrogance, especially if you're dealing with the narcissistic type person, or just a selfish, self-centered person. So people are going to push those buttons, but you know what? Make yourself clear again. If you feel like they didn't hear you the first time, repeat it. Assert and repeat, assert and be clear. So that's one thing that you can do if you feel like someone is continually violating your boundary. All right, so the next thing to keep in mind is to, when it comes to what to do, is always be consistent, right? Be consistent in your movements, what you do and what you say. Make sure they all match up. That way, people can't call you out. So if you try to draw a boundary, but you're not a consistent person, right? You'll draw the line. And the next thing that the other person knows the line is gone, and that you're saying it's okay for them to do certain things when the other week you said it wasn't okay. So make sure that you're consistent in your needs and your wants and your deeds and your actions and your words. Because if you're not consistent, no one's going to take your boundaries seriously. No one's going to respect you. So when we are consistent, we invite respect. When we are consistent, people will less likely violate those boundaries. So make sure if you want to make those boundaries firm and that line firm, that you are always consistent in what you do and what you say. And the next thing is what to do when people are violating your boundaries is that this could be the last resort. You may have to disengage. You may have to leave the people alone. You may have to not be bothered with the person who's continually violating your boundaries. When it gets to the point where they don't respect you at all, when it gets to the point where they're disregarding, your needs, or they're being insensitive or uncaring or just downright disrespectful, that means you need to disengage and stop dealing with that person, because there's some people out there that's just never, they love breaking rules. They love manipulating and controlling people. They don't care about people's boundaries and the lines that they draw. And they don't care about hurting people. So you want to make sure if you come across these types of people that you probably should disengage, so you don't cause any injury to yourself. So those are the things that I had wanted to share with you when it comes to the subject and the topic of boundaries. Hopefully it's been a blessing to you. As always, thank you for joining me in this video. Take care, God bless, and I will see you in the next one.